Yo, what up, what up? For HYPEBEAST Radio, this is Manny, and this is Soundcheck, a show that looks to discover the origin story of your favorite artists and major players in the music industry. We ask the questions that you always wanted to get answered, and you never know who may pop by. Okay, so big news. HYPEBEAST Radio started off a year ago as just one single show. Today, the one show has successfully grown into the entire platform, which we're calling it Hype Radio. The platform is currently home to 3 shows. One is the show you're listening to right now, Soundcheck. The other 2 shows are the HBR show and the Business of Hype. And you can bet more shows are on the horizon. Now for the big news. As you might have noticed currently, by subscribing to HYPEBEAST Radio or Hype Radio, you're getting all 3 shows served up to you. Well, now we're going to separate them so that you can choose which shows you want to subscribe. And I highly encourage you to subscribe to all 3. If you want to keep getting the HBR show and the Business of Hype, you need to now, like right now, subscribe to them individually. And you definitely want to do that right away because you never know who's going to drop by the studio. So whether you're on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, search HBR Show and Soundcheck and the Business of Hype and subscribe today. For the newest episode, we talked to Kris Wu, the international superstar who discusses dropping his new album, the importance of crossing over, stepping out on his own, and so much more. Welcome to Soundcheck. We have a new episode of Soundcheck.
Yeah.
We have an artist that I'm a big fan of, and I'm happy to get here because I'm so curious. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Absolutely. What's good, guys? It's your boy Kris Wu, and thanks for having me.
Nice. And so we posted your album, and it went nuts on Twitter. Like, I was watching it, and I was like, I think right now it has like over maybe 7,000 likes, 4,000 retweets, and like usually, and that's just on HYPEBEAST Music. And so usually when we do post like a project and it gets retweeted like in the like an album usually in the hundreds, but yours quadrupled that. I guess I want to start from there. Like, your fan base is like amazing. How do you get that fan base? Like,
I mean, I've been working in just like in a lot of different fields, I guess, like for the past couple of years, and I have I started, and also in Kpop, and then I did a lot of acting, and I've done a lot of stuff in fashion. So I travel a lot around the world. So I kind of, everywhere I go, I start building the fan base, and now, really, pretty much everywhere I go, I see my fans supporting me. So absolutely, I mean, it's always an honor, but yeah, it was just, I think I was just doing a lot of stuff, and I was able to cover a lot of different places around the world.
I would definitely notice that because as just reading about you and just following your music, your journey is really incredible, honestly. And I guess I'll get to that later, but I guess I'll start with, you was in a K-pop band, and then you broke out and started your own thing, and then you also been acting, and everything was completely serious and completely on a huge scale. I guess where did the aspiration to make music start, and start from there?
Man, that started when I was growing up as a kid, pretty much. Like when I first moved to Vancouver, Canada with my mom, which is around the age of 10. I started playing basketball. I started watching a lot of N1 mixtapes. I started following Allen Iverson. I started really just got really curious and like what hip hop culture is like, and what it sounds like, because they're always playing the back. Like if you watch the mixtape, they're always playing. So I started, back then I think it was MP3. Like you had MP3, you would go online and try and look for music and download onto MP3. So I started exploring on the internet, like trying to see like. And then at that time, like, whoever was like 50 Cent was super like hot. And then Lloyd Bang, The Game, like all these people. Like Changi. I just got really hooked on, like ever since then I just started, listening to hip hop music. It's pretty much a hip hop head ever after. And then, obviously at that time I didn't know I was gonna be an artist. I was only like 14, 15. But I always wanted to, like, if one day I could become an artist, I wanted to do hip hop music. Yeah, and that's where everything started. Yeah.
Definitely got to touch on the N1 because I was a huge N1 mixtape person.
Word.
So like I was so addicted to like watching the highlights and like seeing Hot Sauce and Skits in My Lou. Yeah. When What's the Name got into the league, I was so happy.
Yeah.
Ray for Austin. I was like, oh my God. Was like I just real quick, real quick tangent. What some of your favorite players? Do you have like a favorite scene or moment that happened?
Yeah, overall in basketball.
And when you was one.
And M1, Ray for Austin. Yeah, man, like he was a man on definitely. I mean, I was just watching a lot of mixtape. I watched them like practice, like how they like do all these tricks, and I was doing like I was making my own stuff too. You know, like
Nice.
trying to do stuff. But yeah, man, it definitely it had a lot of influence on me, and really basketball is the thing that got me really hooked onto hip hop.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then how did you get into Kpop?
That was just a coincidence, to be honest. Like they were scouting like members for their bands, like boy band, whatever, like around the world. They were going to a lot of different cities and a lot of different countries. And then they happened that they are hosting an audition in Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
And then my friend just told me, if you want to go check it out, because at that time I was 18 and I wasn't getting really good grades. I was playing basketball a lot, and I didn't really know what my future is gonna be like. So I just always wanted to be independent, So I said, let me go try it out, and then it worked out. They scouted me. They wanted me to come to the company, and that's how everything started.
It's like, because I'm familiar with K-pop, and I'm also learning more about K-pop, but I'm also definitely see that it's such a huge genre, yet it just doesn't cross over more. Is that like, is it? I don't know. Is it a negative? Do you think it's a negative thing to come from that background, or has a negative outlook on it outside of the world it is?
No, I mean it's part of my life, so like I always take it with me, and there's definitely things that that I learn, or that's an experience to me. So I'm it's just part of life, and I move on, and now I'm really happy that I'm able to make the music that I want, and yeah.
I would definitely. When did you that I guess that urge to be like, you know what, I need to make the music that I need to make? When did that happen for you?
This happened about, I would say, like pretty much right after I like officially debuted, like I officially became like kind of like famous or celebrity. I started realizing that like this was all cool, like cause the band kind of went off like right after it came out. A lot of fans supporting, but pretty quick I realized that okay, like what I want is actually not just like fans, like they're for whatever reason I actually want people to acknowledge me as a musician. I want people to listen to my music. And then that's where everything started. So I say like about six years ago, I started really having that urge that I want to make my own music. I want people to know that this is the type of music that I do.
And how did you find like I guess that voice of you be stepping out into your own?
How did I find like
how did you develop your sound to be like where you were just like, you know what, I am this, like, hey, this is great, but I want to do this?
I definitely from my influences, like just growing up, listening to like just rap music, hip hop music, and then after probably around the age of like 18, 19, I started writing. I started trying to write some stuff on my own. So I wrote a song for my mom, like it's like rap, and then around when I was 20, and I put that out on socials. Like a lot of fans know this. This is like one of the first songs that I wrote. And then ever after, like I would just obviously I have guys that I looked up to. Like if you talk about like recent, like nowadays, like Drake, like Kendrick, like all these people, Kanye, all these people have they have big influence on me. So I just try to see if I can kind of you get these influences and kind of make it work for me and make my own sound. I just want to do it, and then slowly everything is working out.
How important was this album you just came out?
It's my first album.
Yeah,
it's my first album. So it's definitely a body of work that I feel like just represents me as an artist. For people that doesn't know me, they'll get a good idea of what type of sound I'm inspired by, and what is Kris Wu, like what music, what type of sound he is doing. So definitely a milestone for me, in my musical career, putting out this album. Yeah.
And I don't want to mispronounce the title of the name. What does it start?
Antares.
Yes.
Yeah.
And doesn't it mean like the brightest star?
Yeah.
Cool. And then I was just reading how that the title relates to you, and how you being you're pretty much the brightest star, and also is also in I believe it was in China. It also means like dragon.
Yeah, heart of a dragon.
Heart of the dragon.
Yeah.
I guess how did like how does all that relate to you, and how does all that relate to your story since this being your debut?
Yeah. So basically, like just like what you said, in like China, it means like it's like a symbol for Heart of the Dragon, and like Chinese people, we actually call ourselves like descendant of the dragon. So like dragon is like a super powerful symbol, and it kind of represents China, like the East. And then out here in the Western world, it has a different meaning. The star, it means it's a heart of a scorpion, and I'm in my horoscope, like I'm a Scorpio, so it kind of connects, and then it kind of makes sense to what I'm doing too. You know, what I always say in interviews, or what I always say that, you know, I want to be that bridge to connect the East and West with my music.
Why do you want to be that bridge? Like, why is this like, all right, this is something I want to do?
I just feel like, you know, really there hasn't really been someone that can represent, you know, like China, like musician, like on a global scene, and like and especially when it comes to the hip hop artists, you know, like this is like never even heard of. You know, if you talk about like, you know, like kung fu masters, you know, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, all these people. But when you talk about like hip hop music in China, like people don't know, like, or in general, like musicians from China, you know, besides like Lang, like the pianist and these people, you don't like not much. So I just kind of feel like, you know, someone needs to step up. And someone needs to rep that and let the world know that there are a lot of dope artists in China. Yeah, and I feel like, you know, I have the you know, I have my fans supporting me, and I think right now I'm at a time in my career where I have the freedom to actually I guess push to the limits, and really not settle for anything, because, you know, do what I can, so I have no regrets in the future, you know. So that's why it's important to me to at least give it a shot, you know, like even if it doesn't work out, because I know because it's not gonna be an easy. This is the biggest music market in the whole entire world, you know, like, so it's not gonna be easy to break through especially I'm doing hip hop music, Asian hip hop artist. If I was doing Kpop, it might even be easier. I'm doing something that started from the States, from this country. So but you know, but that's why I think it makes us all so much more special and meaningful to me, and to, I don't know, whoever is you know, thinking what I'm thinking, or just anyone from back home in China or anything like that. So yeah, I would just want to give it a shot, and, you know, I always believe that music will speak for itself. You know, music is very universal. I feel like when the music is right, it'll work out, and I still believe in that. So yeah, if everything works out, I believe this will be a moment, and this will change some things for the culture a little bit.
100%. And so many questions come to mind. One come to mind is that, was this always your goal? Was like to cross over? Like, look, I know, because I feel like you can be a superstar and also be insanely successful, which you are already, within the, I guess, not just K-pop, but within China and the whole circuit. Like, you can literally just be like the biggest star on the planet. But then it looks like your goal is like, no, I want to be international. I want to like show people like, hey, yes, this is what's happening right here, right now with my generation. So was this always your goal? Is like, I want to cross over? Yeah,
I think, I mean, really this thought came to me like about like 3 years ago, like when I felt like I've done a lot of stuff in China already, and I kind of feel like, you know, it's time to kind of try and, because I always want to be a pioneer in whatever I do. So I feel like, you know, this might be the time that I should try and step up and do something. So yeah, about 3 years ago, that's when I first started putting out singles out in the States, like independently. And that's when, and then 2 years ago, it was, last year, it was, the song with Travis Scott, Deserve, that dropped, that made some buzz. But yeah, I was always independent, but you know, I just always wanted to do it. And just like what you said, you know, a lot of my friends around me, they even my company and these people that work for me, they always say like, you know, why give up? You know, why you're sacrificing all these time and opportunities back home in China? You know, there's so many stuff that you can do, and you know, giving all that up for this, because every time I come here, first of all, it's a long flight, and I gotta be here, you know, like doing promos, going to radio, doing everything basically from scratch. Like there's no foundation here. While I'm back home, you know, people ask me to go places, and I can select, you know, all these things, and and there are times that I feel like, you know, like maybe they're right, like, but end of the day, you know, just like what I said in the previous question, I just feel like, since I'm blessed to have all these people supporting me, and I'm blessed that I'm able to do what I love right now at the moment. I should just do it, so I have no regrets looking back when I get older.
Yeah. Because I think I think you as a person, and also your story is totally fascinating. It's because like you are this internationally known superstar. However, in terms of hip hop, you have to come in and literally kind of sort of start from scratch within the States. And without that, there's also just like you're not you're an Asian artist, but not from the States, and so that also adds in that field. And so just like, do you ever just get like disheartened, like, man, like I'm fucking Kris Wu, like like I've been in movies, I've been in blockbuster movies, I have these huge hits, I've like I should be on, or you should be like, you know what, I'm ready for the challenge.
I'm ready for the challenge, man. Always. Like, it's something about me, that the way that I was raised and just the culture, like back home in China, I try to always stay very humble and respectful for everyone. So when I'm out here, I really think of myself as a new artist. I don't even like to bring up like, if you didn't bring it up, I probably wouldn't even say that. Like, I would never say that I'm a superstar in China or whatever, or how many followers I got. I just, that's not important for me. What's important for me is really what I'm trying to do here, and I guess the story, so, yeah.
And because I've grown since being a lover of this hip hop and just music in general. Especially over the last couple of years, I've just been really making an effort of learning like hip hop with outside of the States and within China and just overseas in Asia in general. There's such a rich history of this, like our underground history of hip hop artists, and so like you see it in different aspects of creatively within, I guess, the different avenues, whether it's in movies where they incorporate Asian-born hip-hop artists in their stuff, in their music, i.e. most recently the show Devilman Crybaby, which had like Kenda 390 and like these two other cats, I forgot their names. And just like you see in other assets of just like, and then you look them up, you're like, yo, these guys have been making music for like 20 years. They've been making it for 15 years. So I think what's really cool with you is that you can break the barrier. You can like be like, boom, break the whole barrier down and expose this, and you get to see more, and in the States you get to see more exciting artists. That's happening over there. Absolutely. So do you get like do you feel the weight? Do you ever get like, shit, man, I gotta be perfect type thing?
A little bit. I'm pretty hard on myself, especially when it comes to the craft. I guess like I really try to, because I know what I'm doing, and I know that I'm not doing C-pop or K-pop. I'm doing hip-hop music. I got to make sure that, my work is right. And I got to make sure that this is, like I can hear this on the radio in the States. This is something that people will listen to here. So, I'm super hard on myself when it comes to the music, absolutely. And I think that's the way that's got to be.
Yeah. And I like that you also incorporate stuff that where you're from, like in your album, you have records where you speak Chinese songs. Was that like, was people tell you, I guess that was definitely a conscious decision, but were people telling you like, I don't know, you should probably keep that off, maybe was a bonus, try doing more American style records, or were you just like, no, this is happening, and like, let's see what people react to?
I was like, this is happening. I was like, this is happening. Like I just gotta tell people where I come from. That's always very important for me. So it's on the album. It's there. And
I definitely noticed that all your fans that are fans of you of your different journeys, your music, i.e. in movies, and when you did K-pop, and new fans now, they all follow you, and regardless. So it's got to be like reassuring. It's like people will follow me because I'm good.
Not, I don't know. I never take things for granted, So, but yeah, man. I mean, it's really, like I said, I feel very blessed that all these people, all my day one fans, all these people on the road, just really supporting me, as I go. But yeah, never take things for granted. I gotta always be better.
I know, like earlier this year, there was like there was like news about like how China are like very, I guess, not they're tougher, is I guess the right word, on just like, because I guess rap or hip hop within the media. Specifically the show that went huge.
Yeah, rap
and then artists had to come out and apologize for certain lyrics or stuff they're taken down. Do you is this something that it's like I guess it's two-part things. Is that something do you think about when you're creating music, and is that something you try to push against when you're creating music?
I gotta think about it when I make music like this. I'm talking about China, the market in particular, because that's just how the culture is and how everyone is raised up to be. So all the thinkings are very different. So you can't really. That's not something that I can change as an artist, I think, in a short amount of time. So I gotta respect that, and especially back home in China, a lot of my fans they're also very young. They're teenagers. Some could be some. And a lot of times lyrical content could be very I gotta make sure that the stuff that I write is either positive or it can't be too. There's just a lot of stuff that I can't bring up. Yeah. So definitely I have to think about that when I'm putting out music in China. Yeah.
Wow. And I guess I'm just judging by the conversation. It's pretty like, because I've read about it, but I'm still like, you live it, and so they're pretty like, hey, like this is too much.
Yeah.
This is not going up.
Yeah, there are things like that. Yeah, so you really gotta watch out the lyrics.
Yeah. And then just general question, just out of curiosity, how do you like balance everything? Like, how do you balance the music, the movies, and just like the I guess the stardom?
Like this is really like China is a very unique market. Like it's very different from everywhere else around the world. For example, like if you're a hip hop or you're a rapper, you're a musician, in the States, you would mostly do music, and then sometimes you cross over to a movie, but that's occasionally. And then if you model, and then you're an actor, you act. But in China, it's if you want to stay relevant, right now, like this current time, in the show business, you gotta do everything.
Wow.
And that's just that's how the market is. It's very different. So really, it's just to stay relevant. People have no choice. I have no choice. I will have to be able to do different things. So yeah, I gotta get used to it. That's just how the environment is, how the market is. I'm Chinese, obviously. This is the situation, so I gotta live with it. So I gotta learn to deal with all these different type of stuff, and that switch roles and yeah.
And you also just became a ambassador for Louis Vuitton. How did you meet Virgil? Like how was that conversation started?
Yeah, I this is a long story. So I was really so when he first came out with Off-White, I was one of the first supporting Age of the Rock his stuff. And I post a lot of stuff on Instagram, and he would like every post.
Nice.
And that time we don't know each other. He would like every single post. And one day he DM'd me. He said, "Yo, like I love the way you rock the stuff, and like I would like to send you some stuff." I was like, yeah, man, dope, because I've been buying my own Off-White. Like, he sent me some stuff. Word.
Nice.
Okay, and then so ever since then, we kind of, started talking on Instagram, and we got each other's number, obviously. And then one of my concerts, he made me like a custom piece, Off-White with Kris Wu. And then, that's how the relationship started, kind of. Yeah, so we've been friends for like at least 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, and then when I heard that Virgil was coming to Louis Vuitton, I know that this is gonna be big, and I know he's super talented, so I definitely want to support him.
Nice.
And then everything just came together. Louis reached out to us, and they're like, Virgil's here. We want you to be the ambassador. You down? I'm like,
hell yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Nice. I guess when everything, music aside, fashion aside, movies aside, what's some of your interests? Like, what are some of your hobbies? You'd be like, man, I like this. Like, I'm like the driver.
I love cars, bro. I'm a car enthusiast. I absolutely love cars.
Nice.
Yeah, I like to fix them up myself. Tune it. Yeah.
What's your favorite car?
My favorite car, one of my favorite would have to be like the old school like JDM Skyline GTR.
Nice.
Car. Yeah, it's like a very iconic tuner car, and then yeah, man, I'm just super into cars, and nowadays I'm very into. I love AMG. You know, sounds amazing. But yeah, that's my biggest hobby. Like, I love cars.
How'd you get into cars?
Probably because of my childhood too, bro. Like growing up, like my mom would not buy me a car. She would not give me a car, so I had to drive her Acura, like to school every day, while my friends are driving like BMW and all these other cars, like because I was in like a really like I grew up in a very like Asian, like a lot of like Vancouver there's a lot of Asians in Vancouver first of all, and my neighborhood there's a lot of like Asian kids and their parents would buy them like nice cars while I drive this car to school. And I was like, man, like one day I wish I can get my M3 or something, you know, like and then yeah, I think it's because of that childhood. Now that I'm able to afford cars, I'm kind of letting that out right now. Like I'm gonna get everything that I couldn't get when I was a kid. Nice.
Yeah. And the last thing we usually do is like, if you had advice to a young artist who's listening, what would that advice be? What would you tell them?
Man, like I would just say, I mean, I think I kind of cover it in the whole interview too. Just, you know, first of all, never settle and always work hard, and always, you know, you gotta take time in your craft and then make sure that, you know, you're confident with it before you show it to other people, and you know, as long as you put the time and effort, the hours in it, you know, I'm sure that, you know, hard work pays off.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, man. This is really great.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. That's today's episode of Soundcheck, and thanks for listening. You can listen to more episodes of Soundcheck and keep up with everything HYPEBEAST Radio at hypebeast.com/radio. Subscribe to Soundcheck on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, or whatever you listen to podcasts on. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at ECM_LP and follow HYPEBEAST Music for more original content and music news. Let us know who you'd like to have on the show, and thanks for listening.